Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brand John never wants to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
You know what, John? That jingle is too good for us.
It is not too good, Brad. What if it's just right for us, Brad? What if it's not too good? What if it's just right for us?
Well, you know, I have this thing about under promise and over deliver. We come on with this great jingle, and then it's you and me, and people go, "Oh, just keep playing the jingle."
Hey, you know what? You know the great thing about that anthem, though, Brad, is that like many things on our show, it could be a cure for your CU, Brad. You know, your chronic underdogism.
Well,
it could be a cure for that. You could listen to that, and we perform, and that could cure your chronic underdogism.
That is John Combest. He's the guy that has, for 22 plus years, every single day, I don't care if it's leap day, if it's Christmas, New Year's, Easter, he puts together a list, a comprehensive list of all the stuff going on in the state of Missouri, puts links together on his website. You want to find out what he thinks are the top, sometimes, 20, 30, 40 different things?
It depends on the day, yeah.
Depends on the day. But what we do is we start off the show every morning with a top 3 of johncombest.com. That's COMBEST. And today, a special day, because you know why, John?
I have no idea.
Time for the John Combest Top 3.
How's that? You like that? You're speechless, huh, John? John, are you there?
I am here. Yeah, I was taking an in-bread. Now, is that a polka ditty? Is that polka?
What? Hold on a minute.
Time for the John Combest Top 3.
Polka.
You know, Brad, what I love about these tribute songs is that I am sure there is a day where if people are blessed to meet me in person, they'll say, "Oh, hey, John Combest." And I'll say, "Oh, yes, well, nice to meet you." And I'll be too polite to correct them.
But the polka singers are from like someplace in Europe. They've got that accent. It's not Combest.
Yeah, they do.
Combest.
And they wear that. They got the, they're a big fans of choking down that kielbasa. You know what I mean, Brad?
Right.
Those singers.
They got the lederhosen and all that kind of stuff. And
they do.
So,
yeah. What a fantastic tribute, Brad.
When John goes to Europe and they introduce him, this is John Combest. That's what they say, right? Okay, here we go. We bring in Casey, and he does his thing.
We're on our way to the number one.
And he starts off with,
in third place,
Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer has had just about enough, Brad. And he's had just about enough of Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's tired of her antics. And according to the headline from Quicks Radio in Moberly, Missouri, Luetkemeyer criticizes Greene's theatrics. Now, the quote from Blaine Luetkemeyer, and by the way, I linked to this on Saturday, was that all of this histrionics from Marjorie Taylor Greene, Brad, it's just all about her. And Blaine Luetkemeyer is not happy, and he said all this nonsense, all this frivolity is going to cost Republicans the U.S. House of Representatives in November. And Blaine Luetkemeyer is not happy about it, Brad. That's our number 3 story, and you can find it on johncombest.com in the Saturday headlines.
So the Democrats can have the AOCs and the Shirley, what's her name, who made the
Chisholm Jackson.
No, who's the lady from Texas who last week was in the news because she was talking about the moon
that was Shirley Jackson, right?
Shirley Lee is she from Texas?
Oh yeah, wait, I was thinking Shirley Chisholm Jackson.
No. Shirley,
not Shirley Chisholm. No, it was, but her last name was Jackson, right?
I don't know.
Shirley Jackson Lee?
I guess so.
One of them, Brad.
Right.
Yeah, but the eclipse was. Right. What was her line about the eclipse? I forgot.
She says that the moon was a bunch of gases, and one of them said, "Can the Mars rover go over and take a look at the American flag that we planted It's like wrong planet, right?
She was close, though. But it's the correct solar system.
Right,
Why do you have
right.
to nitpick, Brad?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The moon as compared to Mars. Okay. Okay, so Blaine's not. See, can I do a little bit editorializing here?
Absolutely. That's all we do here, Brad.
All right. The problem, I've gone on my rant lately of why the Republicans are messed up. Okay, we need more Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you know why? Because for the most part, Blaine's boring. He's just a boring guy, right?
He's a banker.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. But you know what, Brad? Now, I agree with you in some respects. In other respects, people would say that Blaine is the adult in the room.
Yeah, but you know what? We have too many adults in the room. They're all a bunch of boring people. I'm
We
telling
do.
you.
Now, I linked to, Brad, on Friday, like on Saturday, I try to add every once in a while a GIF that might make people laugh. Have you ever watched Marjorie Taylor Greene's workout videos?
I have not. She has workout videos.
Oh, Brad.
Are they any good? Oh.
Oh, here's what I would suggest. Now, when I listen to regular shows, Brad, and I imagine some folks do it who listen to our show, but if I'm listening to a show like I listened to This Week in Missouri Politics yesterday, so I'm listening to Scotty the Body Show, I put it on 1.25 time because, I can listen to it a little faster. 1.5 is a little fast. People should do the converse with Marjorie Taylor Greene's workout videos, Brad. They should go in the bottom right-hand side to settings if you're on YouTube, and you should click on 0.5. And if you put it at 0.5, then you can watch Marjorie squat in slow motion, Brad.
John, don't think I'm a weirdo, but I prefer to watch the Lauren Boebert makeout videos myself. Those are the ones.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to go with her to a theater?
Right. Okay, moving on.
Up a notch to number 2.
Friday was a big day in the appointment world, Brad. And most of these are kind of boring. The governor appoints people to boards. But for people who observe politics, you'll recognize a lot of familiar names. So Governor Parson appointed former St. Louis Mayor Lyda Krewson to the board of the University of Missouri Board of Curators. Boy, I just was redundant there, right? Department of Redundancy Department. The University of Missouri Board of Curators. He appointed Lyda Krewson to that. Other names that you might be interested in, Brad. Friend of the show, Taylor Burks, was appointed to the Truman State Board of Curators.
Should we call Taylor this morning?
We're absolutely not going to call him this morning. So anyway, so that's pretty cool for Taylor. And then some other names just of note that folks would probably recognize. Winston Calvert, who is an alumnus, I should say, of the Slay administration, from Mayor Francis Slay administration. Sam Page's county executive administration. He was appointed to the Bi-State Board along with Dan Isom, former police chief of the city of St. Louis. One other name that political folks might recognize is a woman named Tracy Henke, who worked for many years for former Senator John Ashcroft. She was, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe she was the assistant Secretary of Homeland Security under Ashcroft, and she was appointed to the Missouri Workforce Development Board. And then uniquely, what I think is kind of interesting, because the governor has to appoint a certain number of Democrats too. There's an agitator, kind of an activist guy named Daryl Gray. Do you recognize that name, Brad?
He used to have a brother that was in TV, wasn't it? Wasn't it Dan Gray, his brother?
Yeah, Dan Gray. Yeah, very tall guy. He was like 7'1", named Dan Gray.
Right.
Daryl Gray, though, is religious. I guess you could call him a religious activist. He's kind of a race agitator. When there's a protest and fast food workers are complaining that they want $80 an hour or whatever, and they go make noise and get media coverage, he's usually in the mix. He was appointed to Missouri's Workforce Development Board. So it's interesting to see who the governor picks from the Democrat side and the Republican side. And this was originally reported in the Post-Dispatch, or one of the more thorough pieces is in the Post-Dispatch, and I had that one up this weekend as well.
Do they get paid for those board positions?
I don't think so. I think they get I think they probably get like a stipend, like on travel days or something like that. I don't think they're paid.
And you know what's missing in that whole group of people they appointed as board members?
I don't know.
There's no radio people in there. I mean, come on. We need some radio people.
That's true. But you know what, Brad? A radio person plays a cameo. We can make them play a cameo in story number 1 today.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's move right along then.
The number 1.
Donald Trump's attorney, Will Scharf, was on Fox News Sunday yesterday, Brad. There's a show hosted by a woman named Shannon Bream, not to be confused with former Pittsburgh Pirates first baseman Sid Bream, or the nickname for sunfish/bluegill, which is Brim, of course. But Will was on the show yesterday and talked a little bit about this show trial going on in New York, for which I believe jury selection starts today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Will had a big 5-minute hit on the show, which is a lot of time to have on big national television. And the main takeaway was that he said the headline is, "The truth is absolutely on Trump's side." Now, Brad, there's one quote from here that I flagged that I think might make a good drop on the show. Are you ready for it?
I'm always ready for your quotes, John.
Will was asked about the idea that perhaps the Trump team would settle for misdemeanors and before the jury goes out would ask for misdemeanors instead of felonies. And Scharf was talking a little bit about the DA's decision, was it Alvin Bragg, I think it is, decision to go for these felonies instead of to try to turn these felonies into, or these misdemeanors into felonies. Anyway, Will's quote is this. He called it, quote, "a weird legal alchemical process."
And you know what Nicole Wallace said about that, don't you?
What'd she say about it, Brad?
Our sacred airwaves.
That's what she said. She said,
but Brad, sometimes I wonder if there's a secret that might have come from the Orient that could describe these processes. You think so?
Ancient Chinese secret.
On cue, Brad. On cue. So I think a weird legal alchemical process, which is a hell of a quote from Will, deserves to be a drop.
You know, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know if you know this or not.
I don't know that.
Well, this is a true story. I would never make anything up like this.
I know you wouldn't, Brad.
but Tracy Ellis, her and her husband Rick, who are on like 14 different radio stations now, they've decided they're going to take one of their radio stations. They're going to put a new format, and it's going to be called the Andrew Bailey Station, where it's going to be Andrew Bailey.
Now, they might be in dispute with 97.1 because I thought he had a seat on that show.
It's going to be Andrew Bailey Radio, because he's going to be on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll never be able to listen to the radio without hearing Andrew Bailey. God, between Andrew Bailey and Will Scharf, do we have enough media exposure for these two dudes?
I don't think so, Brad. I think, and you know what? But jokes aside, there'll only be more. Now, remember, Brad, I hate to say I told you so, but probably about a month ago, I said that forget the governor's race. The sleeper race is going to be Andrew Bailey versus Will Scharf, because they're both going to have a ton of money and they're going to be in the headlines all the time, Brad.
John, you're wrong. It's going to be the Secretary of State race, where it's going to be Mike Carter, who's going to spend $10 million spending ads. Hey, I'm Mike Carter. I'm a great guy. I got a master's degree in journalism. I'm a great guy. I'm a judge. I'm a great guy. I'm a great guy. I'm a great guy. I'm Mike Carter. That's what he's going to do, these new ads. I mean, in fact, I wrote the ad for him.
And Brad, the reason why you're diametrically opposed to him is because he says don't blow, and you spent your 88 years telling women something quite different.
Whoa, not going to touch that one. Okay.
But I mean, we're talking about DWIs, right?
Well, once again, I heard the ad yesterday, and I've got a master's in journalism, and he goes on to say, I love this line. He says, I've got a master's of journalism from the Mizzou School of Journalism, the same school that Walter Cronkite went to. Okay, so is that saying that, wow, it's a great journalism school because Walter Cronkite went there, right? As opposed
I think so.
to the SIUE Edwardsville School of Journalism where I went, which sucks because I went there, right? Oh, it's
Well, yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. Now, I will pull a quote that I just brought up from our friend Scott Faughn, who said, Brad, while we're talking about BJ jokes, he said, I found that the best place to get BJ content is on the BJ Show YouTube page.
He did not.
And Scott said, next week it's possible that my buddy Mike Carter will actually be on, encouraging folks not to blow while on the BJ Show. Like, think of the irony there, Brad. You get it?
If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to Z1077 on any Friday or Saturday night between like 8 and midnight, where every other commercial Like they play a song and then they play 2 Mike Carter ads. And they play a song and they play 2 Mike Carter ads. And they rotate back and forth between 45bucks.com, 45bucks.com.
Oh yeah, and they have like a rap song for $45, right?
Rap is to put it is almost like
It's
gangster.
some kind of a rhyme.
It's like
I've heard that on other stations though. I think whatever plays R&B, like I like to have a little Jodeci while I'm riding around, a little New Edition,
Right.
And I hear the rap song on there, the $45 ad on there.
Right. And when they talk about the po-po, when the po-po,
Yeah.
going like,
Now,
yeah.
I don't know, Brad. Like, I'm no police officer, but all I have to say is if somebody says they're not going to blow, like, that's a deal breaker from the moment. It's like, nice to meet you. Like, it was a pleasure to meet you. And then you move on, right?
Well, the crazy thing about this is that if the cops, and I'm not an attorney, I don't play one on TV nor radio, but they've got the Missouri law now that if you refuse to consent to the breathalyzer, they take it to the hospital and they draw your blood.
Yeah, I know.
And
And they did that with you, and they found all Mountain Dew.
right.
It was amazing. They said, how does this man not have a cardiac event with all this caffeine?
Right. I was close earlier this year, but that's a whole other story. Okay, is that the top 3?
Those are the top 3 today, Brad.
Okay, do we need to call... John, do you think anybody listens to this show?
Oh, certainly not. And now, Brad, by the way, this is the second instance of chronic underdogism in this segment. Now, see, because you talked about how we couldn't fulfill the promise of the theme song. And I know you're being sarcastic, but I think based on a phone call that you made to me on Saturday. And by the way, I did send you, just in full transparency that day, I did send you immediately to voicemail, and I let you know why. And I won't tell you where I was, but I was in the suburbs, and I was teaching some kids how to hit the cutoff man. And at that moment, I said, I was yelling out there, Will, I don't care if the second baseman or the shortstop covers, Brad. You got to go out there. You got to give your outfielder somebody to throw to, right? And my phone rang and it said Brad Hildebrand, and I said straight to voicemail. And I love you, Brad, but when you're dealing with kids trying to hit the cutoff man, I can call Brad back later.
John, you know what? I don't think anybody plays baseball anymore. Any kids play baseball because you know what? Baseball.
What are they doing?
Baseball might as well just be
ancient Chinese secret.
Because no kids.
Oh, we called it rounders in the Orient.
No, they don't. The kids don't play baseball anymore. There's no kid plays baseball anymore. All they want to do.
I know it was they were actually all holograms out on the field. People would walk by that field, Brad, and they would say, "Who's that old guy yelling at clouds out there?" And they said, "No, it's just Brad complaining about Mike Carter."
John, you might as well be speaking Greek when you say "hit the cutoff, man," because most people, if you went into a high school today and you go, "Hey, when you're out there in the field, you got to hit the cutoff, man," and all the guys would look at each other and goes, "What the hell is he talking about? Cutoff, man?"
No, you know what though, Brad? If you say that down around Skinker and Forest Park Parkway, or maybe a little bit closer to Kings Highway, if you say hit the cutoff, man, they think you're talking about the Wash U Transgender Center. Because that's where you go to get cut off, Brad.
Oh, my God. John's in rare form this morning.
Well, Brad, I was projecting about caffeine, but I'm highly caffeinated right now. So that's why I made fun of Mountain Dew, Brad. I've been known to project,
Okay, so it's time for us to take a welcome.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?